So the big question is this: how are marketers like us, who don't cut corners and rely on hype-filled, black hat, scammy marketing, who are always focused on providing value first and over-delivering for our customers with every single purchase they make, how do we market our products and services in a way that allows us to get our message out into the world, dominate the competition, and create a lifestyle of freedom and abundance without sacrificing sales and profit? That's the riddle, and on this show, you'll find the answer. Hey, my name's Misha Wilson, and welcome to Marketing with Misha.
What is going on, everyone? Misha Wilson here, coming at you for another episode of Marketing with Misha. Let me know what your name is and where you are coming in from as you hop on and pay attention here to this entire live. And with that said, let me know with a quick yes that you can see and hear me loud and clear. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. So today I actually want to talk about a question and answer a question specifically from a student when it comes to productivity, when it comes to routines, what my routine is, what allows me to be most productive, and what I kind of believe in when it comes to productivity and when it comes to routines. And really what I want to touch on here today is a concept that I don't necessarily see, or not a concept, just an ideology that I don't necessarily see too many people out there pushing right now. So right now, more than ever, it seems like there's a lot of people who are kind of pushing the idea of, do the 4-hour work week type deal, the 4-hour work month, just kind of work a few hours per day. And then there's a lot of people over here who are saying, work 18 hours a day, work 20 hours a day, go nonstop, all you have to do is work. And both are kind of, again, very polarizing in their own unique ways and are totally on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? And so I had a student very recently kind of, hearing from one person who was saying work 24 hours a day, and then hearing from the other person saying automate everything so that your business runs while you sleep. And they didn't necessarily know, what the right thing was for them. And that's actually what I want to talk about here today. And I want to talk about the fact that the truth of the matter is that at a core level, the biggest strength, or one of the absolute biggest strengths as an entrepreneur that you need to be aware of, is self-awareness, and having enough self-awareness to know what works for you and what doesn't work for you. All right. One of the things that you always have to be doing is you always have to be looking at all the various different options out there and kind of pulling, different ideas and different methods and different ways of being and different strategies towards how you can kind of approach your business, your life, your career, right? No matter what industry you're in, whether student mind or not, and applying, bits and pieces of what you've learned from different people to your own personal day, business, life, career, and seeing what works for you and seeing what doesn't work for you. Because at the end of the day, when it comes down to personal, productivity, when it comes down to routines, when it comes down to being able to execute on a daily basis in order to go ahead and get stuff done, the truth of the matter is that we aren't all born the exact same way, all right? We aren't all wired the exact same way. We aren't all created the exact same way. Some people have strengths in one area where it might be, extremely extroverted. That person might be really good around groups of people and might be really good at interacting in a social way with people. And then some people might be on the opposite end of the spectrum, and they might be total introverts, and their strength might be, analyzing data and being able to look at data and figuring out, answers based on data that other person couldn't necessarily, do, no matter how hard they tried, but based on the fact that, again, they have a strength over here, that's what they're good at. And so the biggest thing that I want to reinforce here today, and I will share, what works for me and some tips that have worked for me in my own personal journey here in a second, but the biggest thing that I want to kind of reinforce, and give me some comments, likes, hearts, and shares if you guys are getting value, is the simple fact that it's not necessarily one size fits all. All right. Yes, there, I believe, universal principles where you have more energy in the morning, right? That's one thing for me. I prioritize my day, so the hardest things come first in the day, and the biggest things that take the most energy in the day come first. That works for me. I do know some people who are total night owls and they love doing stuff at night. And the exact opposite works for them, all right? I do know more people than not tend to be able to, produce more at a higher level in the morning. So it might be a good idea to test, absolutely. For myself, if I work over 2 hours, I can do it where I work, let's say a 4-hour chunk of time. But if I keep working over that, right? If I keep, every single day working 4.5, 5 hours at a time with no break, sooner or later I will burn out. Sooner or later I'll get into that 5th hour, and then kind of the rest of the day is shot, right? So what works for me personally is I'll do 2-hour chunks, and then I'll try to step away for 10 or 15 minutes, come back, do another 2-hour chunk of work, and then, step away for another 15 minutes, do another 2-hour chunk of work, come back, again, rinse and repeat, right? These are all things that work for me. But on the flip side, that doesn't necessarily work for, some other really successful entrepreneurs in this space, and that's totally fine. I actually went through another successful entrepreneurs program very recently, and he kind of, showed what his day looks like and showed how he tracks everything down to, the ounce of water that he drinks every single day, and shared how he has someone confirm that he actually did do exactly this many milliseconds of work per day, and shared how he, essentially is just so structured down to every last thing, that comes up, agenda, schedule, routine, etc. And I've tried that in the past. I've tried to be more structured like that. And I can say for myself, I actually kind of get drained on energy when I do that. My energy, I kind of start to feel a little bit depressed. I start to feel a little bit down. I start to feel, after a day or two, like, why the hell am I doing any of this, right? And so ultimately, what I wanted to hop on here and communicate is that at the end of the day, we all have our own individual strengths. We all have our own individual weaknesses, and we all have, the different areas that's going to come really naturally for us, and then the areas that aren't. And the biggest thing that you have to do on your entrepreneurial journey is you need to get really crystal clear on what works for you and what doesn't. And split test different things, all right? Split test different approaches. Split test being, ultra structured, like 14 hours a day. You have the week planned out before the week even begins. And try it for a week and see if it works for you. But if it doesn't work for you, understand that that doesn't mean that you're less of an entrepreneur. That doesn't mean that you're a worse entrepreneur. That doesn't mean that you're not as good as that person who is more structured. Maybe you just have a slightly different personality type. Do you need some structure? Yes, absolutely. But maybe you kind of thrive a little bit more off of a little bit more chaos, a little bit more energy, right? And so maybe you want to sprinkle some of that in, you want to test it and see what happens. And ultimately, your goal and your job is to constantly be aware of different, stimuli that you're giving yourself, different routines that you're testing, different, options and methods out there. You're going to be working them in to your day as an entrepreneur and see what sticks for you and see what doesn't, right? I know some people who do it exactly opposite from me, who are just as successful as me. And if I tried to do it, it would never work for me. And I would feel super behind. As an example, I have a buddy who wakes up and for the first 2 hours of his day, he reads, right? Now, in theory, 2 hours of reading a day, absolutely, especially when you're bright and early in the morning, that's probably a smart thing to do. You're constantly bettering yourself. You're constantly, again, intaking new information. For myself, if I wake up and sit down and I don't produce for 2 hours, the entire day I feel so far behind. The entire day I feel like I lost 2 hours that I should have been producing early, and I should have been taking action early. So all day long I feel anxious because I'm starting later than I usually do, and I feel like, again, I'm behind the bullet. And so it doesn't work for me. I end up getting frustrated, spinning my wheels. I have zero ability to deal with anything that is a little bit frustrating, because I will get totally ticked off when I'm behind the bullet and when I'm feeling stressed, and I'll snap. And again, what works for him doesn't necessarily work for me. And so ultimately, again, realize that one size does not fit all. And you can take all the different universal principles that seem to work for all the various successful entrepreneurs, but then test it on yourself, find a routine that works for you. Once you find that routine that works for you, stick to it, but then also split test other things as well. So treat your daily routine, how you do things, how you operate, kind of like you would a funnel, a capture page, a squeeze page, a landing page, etc., and test different things to find what works, test more to get, a higher level of output and a better result with control, and then never, ever, ever stop testing. So with that said, I hope you got a ton of value. Hope you guys are having an awesome holiday. I already posted about Memorial Day. Hope you guys have an awesome Memorial Day. And until next time, over and out.